And good morning, everybody. We welcome you to Arnold, Nebraska for coverage of the 2021 Sandhills Open Road Challenge. My name is Brent Apperson, joined by Jeremy Scheip, and we'll be kind of your MCs and your guides through the opening of today's race as we get started here in Arnold, Nebraska. The sun is out. It's beautiful weather, just a gorgeous morning. Not much of a breeze at all as we get ready for the start of the 21st Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Again, hi everybody. We're coming to you live on KBBN 95.3 FM, also on the web at kbbn.com, and we're also bringing you a live video stream as well, which you can access on the KCNI KBBN YouTube page, on Sandhills Express Facebook page, and on our Twitter feeds at KBBN Sports and at KCNI KBBN Radio. Jeremy Scheip joins me. Jeremy, great to be with you again for the coverage of this race.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and boy, couldn't ask for more beautiful weather. Like you said, it's going to have a lot of great racing today, and we're excited to have you folks watching or listening here on 95.3. It's going to be a great time. We've got the cars all lined up. They're going through their tech inspections as they come up to the line, and I'm just really excited. We've got a lot of great cars again this year. We've seen some of them in the loop-to-loop and the shootout to this point, and we're just super excited to get going with the race itself that started it all 21 years ago, the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Well, they have sent the, I guess you would say, the pace car somewhat. Bruce McConnell has taken off to run the road in front of the drivers before they begin the race to make sure that the road is clear, make sure that it's in good shape, and so that is out on the course at this moment, and they've actually brought the opening car of today's race to the start line, so hopefully we'll be racing here in just a few minutes. We're going to start at the 80-mile-an-hour class, I believe, as we get things started here today. Of course, there are different speed classes that will be going off in the road race today, and Jeremy, one of the things that these drivers and navigators will be trying to achieve is an average speed closest to that target speed that they're going for on both of the runs that they make, to Dunning and then back from Dunning to Arnold.
Yeah, there's a perfect time essentially that they are shooting for, and we'll tell you that each class is usually going to have someone inside of 1 second from perfect. So it'll be really interesting to see these final times when we get the results following the race. But I want to talk real quickly before we get started here about the SORC race itself. It was founded in 2001, and it's argued by many to be the most challenging open road race in America. It's 55 miles of narrow blacktop country road, offering twists, turns, and straights to keep these racers busy. Tech speeds, which are the max speeds the racers can travel, go as high as 145 miles an hour. Racers are advised to have a full tank of adrenaline. Love that line. That's from the SORC website. It's a nonprofit organization, too, with all of the proceeds being donated to local civic organizations, and I think that's just amazing. And the success of the SORC, we talk about it time and time again. It rests upon the efforts of the people of Arnold and the welcome that they give racers. This is a community of 600, Brent, and it's a lot of people's favorite place in the world.
Yeah, and that community swells to twice that when the SORC comes to town. And so, yeah, it's really become a family as drivers from all over the country, as we will be announcing to you today, come to Arnold, Nebraska for this event. Of course, a couple of events have been added since the beginning of this whole thing back in 2000. You have the loop-to-loop race, which was run on Thursday between Halsey and Purdom. That is an added feature now to the Sandhills Open Road Challenge activities, and then an event that was added, I think, a year or two in after the very opening race of this Sandhills Open Road Challenge, the half-mile and 1 mile shootout. That was held yesterday on the county road between Callaway and Cozad. Jeremy, you and I were there for that event, and that just continues to be a highlight now of what they do with SORC.
Yeah, they had a great crowd on hand. I believe probably the best crowd that's been on hand for the shootout races so far since it's been going, and that's just amazing to see. It's a great spectator day, and today is as well, and the stands are probably about half packed here at the starting line, but there's people all the way up the road into Arnold watching these cars go by as they get ready to go down on the starting line. And we thank all of you that are watching online and listening on KBBN as well. We're getting ready for the 80-mile-an-hour class. Let's talk a little bit more about the race. 9 classes, like Brent said. SORC has a spot for all. They're very proud of that. Target speeds of 80, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, and 120 are going to be going today. Tech speeds are the maximum speed that the cars in each class are allowed to go. And we've got a little map up there on your screen, I'm sure, that's showing you basically what they're doing. They're going on this Arnold Dunning Road straight north, and then they'll come right back. The finish line going each direction is a little bit outside of town so that they can go across that finish line at a speed necessary to hit that number they want to. Orange cone's still out, Brent. I think maybe this is our cue to thank our sponsors as we get our broadcast started.
I think we should. We can't do it without them.
We've got some great radio broadcast sponsors again this year. Our gold sponsors, the Exchange in Arnold, A1 Auto Repair, and Mills Hardware and Feed. Our silver sponsors are the Callaway District Hospital with the Arnold and Callaway Med Clinics, Grazer's Bar and Grill, BD, Broken Bow, Fixed Ride Auto Body, First State Insurance, Shotgun Annie's Saloon and Grill, Wenquist Incorporated, Reed's Food Center, Trotter's Service, Trumbull Repair and Towing, State Farm Insurance Agent Donna Cahill, and Henry's Bar in Callaway, all helping bring radio broadcast coverage to you. There's also some radio sponsors who are bringing you racer interviews, which you might be able to hear during the race today, but you are able to hear if you're listening to 95.3 throughout this afternoon. And thank you as well to those sponsors and to the video broadcast sponsors. That those of you that are watching the video broadcast are seeing, they'll be scrolling on your screen the entire time. They include A1 Auto Repair in Arnold, Mills Hardware and Feed, First State Insurance, Callaway Market, Lyons Appliance, Anderson Auto Tech and Broken Bow, Four County Boutique, Trotter Service, and Cobblestone Hotel and Suites. And as you can probably guess, that is a pretty formidable sponsor list. And
yes,
it allows us to be here doing all of this for you. It allows us to set up these 75 cords that we set up this morning and strung all over the place to all of our cameras. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're glad to have you folks along for the race.
Yeah, and since we bring up the video portion of our coverage today, I want to give a big thank you to Gavin Higgins and to Emily Barnett. Emily is manning one of the cameras for us here at the start line today. Gavin Higgins is kind of our video producer for today. We appreciate him being here. Not only does it take great sponsors, but it takes people to put it on too. So we appreciate Emily and Gavin being with us. I also want to say a good morning to David J. Burney. Dave is at the other end of today's race, and when we're done here with the start, Dave will take over on KBBN 95.3 FM, and we'll have coverage of the return trip of this Sandhills Open Road Challenge, which you can hear on KBBN 95.3 FM. So Dave, good morning to you and Joan, and I can feel it, Jeremy. We're not too far away from getting started.
Yep, we're getting very, very close, and we've got some new capabilities on our board there in the studio. Our studio engineer, Jeff Bailey, is back there. He's got 2 different, we call them pots. They're basically the sliders that you can pull up, and if we run into any problems on the track here today, Dave is going to be monitoring from the other side on a separate pot, and if he is listening to us, we'll actually be able to send it to him and have audio from Dave on the other side where they're monitoring the radio, and they can tell us a little bit more information about what's going on out at the track. Joan does a wonderful job of keeping an ear on that for us because, going to be honest, we got a lot going on here, and to monitor the radio at the same time can become kind of difficult. The orange cone is floating up in front of the start line. We're again going to start with the 80-mile-an-hour class. Last year, Jessica Morton and Barry Lowman were the winners of the 80-mile-an-hour class in car 455. They were 2.297 seconds under perfect. So less than a half a second won the 80-mile-an-hour class last year. And this car that you folks are seeing on the video stream that's sitting in front of you, they've run the 80-mile-an-hour class and really started the SORC for years and years in a row.
Also want to say a big thank you to all of the volunteers that helped put on the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Many of those volunteers are out along the course and along the road here today, making sure that the road stays clear as the drivers go out on it. We just saw the plane go across us and fly over the road here just a few minutes ago, and now they're giving a signal to our opening car of the day, Jeremy.
Yep, Maria Schneider and Terry Schneider in that 1963 Chevy Corvette, of course, with number 63 on the side.
Maria Schneider, Terry Schneider, Tony Dahlman, they kind of man this team as we get things started, and they had a good run last year. They actually finished second in the 80-mile-an-hour class. They were 2.494 seconds under perfect, and they get us started here for 2021.
We go next to car number 35. This is a 1995 Mercedes C36. Eugenia Kunzmina and Royce Rumsey are out on the track and running.
And as we go through this 80-mile-an-hour class, because we're at the speed we are, we'll see the cars go off fairly quickly, Jeremy, from the start.
Yeah, they've got to get up to that speed quickly. Some of the other requirements have to do with safety requirements, the difference between the classes. Richard Dayton and Willie Hayward in car 46 take off in their 1965 Chevy sedan.
Richard listed in our biographical book today as a rookie driver, so his first experience out on this challenging course. Richard, founder of the Dayton Law Firm in San Jose, California. He lists Cupertino, California as his hometown. Great to have Richard here with us as he's out on the course for the first time. Wonderful to see those first-timers join us for the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Here's John Slack, car number 51. He, I believe, if I remember right, is from my hometown, Bennington, Nebraska.
Yeah, you're right.
No navigator listed. He's in a 2017 Subaru. Beautiful red color. He's excited to go out on the track and compete. And off goes John.
So coming up next will be Dave Webster in the number 82 car. Dave coming to us from Utah, Riverdale, Utah, listed as his hometown. Dave coming to the starting line and ready to get his lights as he now prepares to go off onto the course.
1987 Chevy Corvette. Beautiful looking car. It's got very subtle purple flames on the side of it. And off goes Dave. That car you're hearing that's making plenty of noise, that's Bill Schneider and Kendra Duncan. They're two cars from now in that NASCAR Pontiac Grand Prix. But right now, it's Dennis Rennie and Kenny Maybe in a 2011 BMW. It might be loud, but honestly, I couldn't tell you if it was. The one behind it's just that much louder.
Dennis is from Dunbar, Nebraska, also listed as a rookie driver as he takes off and begins his first ever run here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Here's that NASCAR I was telling you about. You folks might remember back to the shootout. I was talking about how I used to have a 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix. Well, it looked nothing like this. Here's Bill Schneider and Kendra Duncan in their 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix, but it's essentially a NASCAR car.
Bill from Malcolm, Nebraska, and there he goes on his run. They competed in the 80-mile-an-hour class a year ago. They finished 6.468 seconds above perfect, and they'll look to improve on that here in 2021.
Barry Lowman up next in car 486. Now, if you remember earlier, I talked about Jessica Morton and Barry Lowman winning the 80-mile-an-hour class with Jessica driving last year. So Barry this year listed in a car of his own, a 2007 Chevy Corvette, ready to head out on the course.
Barry from Round Rock, Texas. And we'll try to give you home states of these drivers because it really is amazing to just list off the states and see where all of these people come from. You'll have area representation, state representation, and then country representation, such as Barry from Texas. We'll have some people, I believe, from Nevada, from Arizona. We go all across the nation when it comes to competition here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
There goes Barry. It lets her eat a little bit off of the starting line. That brings to the line car 351. This is a cool-looking 1988 Pontiac Fiero. Eldon Hauer is the driver. Eldon sitting at the starting line ready to go. A little bit off our camera because he's cheating up a couple feet. There he goes.
Eldon from Whiting, Kansas. We listed a lot of Kansas drivers yesterday when we were doing the half-mile and 1 mile shootout, and I'm sure we'll be listing many more of them for you today.
Here comes our first truck. This is Ray Smelik and Stephanie Smelik in their 2004 Ford F-250. You see that? Oh, they're listening on the radio.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Good luck today.
There you go. This truck is in the 80-mile-an-hour class, and we're about halfway down, well, a little bit more than halfway down in the 80-mile-an-hour cars. You see that SORC Lifer sticker up there on the front left fender. Might be the second or third SORC Lifer we've seen come through here in the 80-mile-an-hour class. They're about 10 seconds away here from taking off. From Lincoln, Nebraska, there go the Smeliks. He builds up that boost a little bit, and off he goes. That brings up car 366, our fourth to last car in the 80-mile-an-hour class. Robert Dietrich and Bill Bennett in a 2016 Dodge Challenger, all black in color. It's got that Hellcat logo on the side of it.
Robert coming from Tennessee for today's Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Franklin, Tennessee listed as the hometown. And there they go for their opening leg of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Now here in the 80-mile-an-hour class, they've got to have a fire extinguisher. Factory seat belts are okay. U-rated tires at least. They have to wear non-synthetic clothing. They're not required to wear a fire suit, but a lot of them do. And they have to have an SA 2010 helmet. A couple of interesting facts about the 80-mile-an-hour class. Kerry Burns up next. No navigator for Kerry. 2001 Porsche.
Kerry Burns from Columbus, Nebraska, listed in the book as another rookie driver. So as you can tell, we have a handful of people coming to the Sandhills Open Road Challenge for the first time, and we wish Kerry the best on his first ever run here at SORC.
Car number 469, Rick Herndon. No navigator for Rick either. A 2017 Chevy Corvette. You see his iPad there pointing towards him to keep track of his times as he hits the track.
Rick from Wheeling, West Virginia. Just another example of just where these folks come from to participate in this wonderful event. Rick, who is out on the course now, an emergency medicine physician in the Wheeling, West Virginia area. Been that for 40 years.
Well, here it is, just like that, folks. The 80-mile-an-hour class is wrapping up. Brent Skiles and Jim Deering in a 1974 Datsun out on the track.
Brent from Holdridge, Nebraska, making the trip here to Arnold to compete in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. And there you go, our opening mile-per-hour class, Jeremy. Everybody in it is out on the course as we speak.
It's come and gone. That takes us to the vintage class. Now, as I'm seeing it here, we only have one entry in the vintage class. This is kind of a cool class. I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on this, folks. Usually we have 5 or 6 cars, just one this time around. The cars in the vintage class need to be a model year that's 25 years old or older. No vintage bodies on modern chassis will be allowed. No GPS or electronic timing devices are allowed. No phones, no apps, no computers. You can have a digital stopwatch, but that's it. You have to sign a form agreeing to no electronics being used on the honor system. They have a tech speed or a maximum speed of 120 miles an hour to average 85 miles an hour. And then you've got all of the safety requirements as well. So it's all about going vintage.
Keith is from Iowa, had spent many years watching the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Then they happened upon the car that is in front of your, or that is on your screen right now if you're watching the video stream. And when they happened on that, it's like, okay, it's time to race. So we welcome them to the Sandhills Open Road Challenge as they get ready to take off on their run.
Last year in the Vintage 85 class, John Schmidt was the winner with Ryan Furstenau, and they were just under a second from perfect, negative .957 seconds off of perfect. So you know that Keith and Pat would love to better the time that was put in from last year. And car 83 gives us a little backfire and heads off as the only car in the vintage class with a target speed of 85 miles an hour, a tech speed of 120. That brings our next car to the line. This, I think, at least I'm guessing, is the newest Corvette that we're going to see in these 3 days of racing. That's because it's one of the new Corvettes. It's a 2020 Chevy Corvette. First Corvette ever, I think, that's had a mid-engine. The engine actually sits in the back of the car rather than the front. And Barry Conkin and Jim Conkin are inside. It's a beautiful baby blue color, number 85.
Barry from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He's not a stranger to this event. He's been here over 17 times to compete in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. He's also competed in every loop-to-loop race when it got started as part of the SORC activities. And there he goes for his run in 2021.
Well, it sounds like it's running well. It can't have more than a couple thousand miles on it. And he leaves the first strip of rubber across the starting line here on the edge of Arnold, Nebraska.
You like when they do that, don't you?
I do like that. I drive a very slow Jeep. It doesn't leave rubber anywhere. Unless it's falling off of it in some way, shape, or form. That brings up car number 7, a second car here in the 90 Extreme class. Should tell you, by the way, the 90 Extreme class, Barry Conkin and Jim Conkin, who just took off on the track, they won that last year with a time of 38 minutes, 19.146. And it's worth noting that in the Extreme class, they're going as fast as they can. They're not shooting for a perfect time. So it sounds like they're going to go out and have a lot of fun. Kirk Sharp and Court Grooms up next, about to hit the track in the 90 Extreme.
And there goes Kirk Sharp from Ballantyne, Nebraska, driving down to participate here in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Fun fact about Chevy Corvettes is that they have something integrated into their exhaust that makes it quiet when it's just sitting there, but as soon as you stab your foot into it, it opens up and lets the horsepower sing. You could hear it there. Here comes car number 4. Oh, I lied. The Corvette of Barry Conkin and Jim Conkin is not the newest Corvette in the lineup, because we have a 2021 Chevy. Yeah, there you go. Robbie says mine's newer. Like the look, Robbie. I love the color. It's awesome. He gives us the thumbs up from the cockpit of his car, and he's ready to go out here in the 90 Extreme class and put the pedal to the metal.
Well, Robbie, he's a local guy. He's from right here in Arnold, and I tell you what, this guy knows how to drive this road. He's had a lot of success in the past here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, and there he goes as he takes off in 2021.
All right, and you know, it's great to see these drivers listening on the radio as they head on down the track. We're very happy to say that a lot of these drivers rely on us to give them information if anything should happen out on the track. We try to get that information to them as quickly as possible, and we give shout-outs when they come up to the starting line and give us a wave as well. It's a lot of fun, and we thank Robbie and Shelley for listening as they cruise on down the road. I'm sure already having plenty of fun. Alan Kortmeyer and Gary Kortmeyer up next in a 2005 Nissan 315Z. This is car number 280.
Alan from Seward, Nebraska. Gary from South Dakota. And I got to read a little bit of this bio here for you. This is not from Alan. This is from the perspective of Alan's car. Hello, I'm Alan's car. As they take off, I'm well suited for racing, which Alan does not do enough of. So I spend most of my time in the garage or car trailer. But they've let it out for today's race, and so the car is very happy today.
I'm sure that if it could grin, it would be. Here's car 221, our next vehicle in the 90 Extreme class. We are 5 cars in, and we go to Jay Hill and Kathy Hill, a 2016 Chevy Corvette. This thing is as bright yellow as you can get. Beautiful looking car.
Jay from Brighton, Colorado, from the Denver area where they've owned their Corvette for 4.5 years. Their second year to experience the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Those of you watching on the stream can see that 95.3 logo right on that back left fender.
Hey, we like that.
Hey, that's a Thunderbird wings color. On our logo, our Thunderbird wings are yellow. That works perfect on 221. There goes Jay and Kathy. That brings Len Gransky and Linda Gransky to the line. Car number 247. This is a 2007 Ford Shelby. Has me thinking about the Shelby movie. Did you go and see that?
No, I didn't.
All about Mr. Shelby with Ford.
No, was that
in the start of Shelby?
I have not seen it.
Vehicles. It's really good. If you folks that are watching are into cars and haven't seen that one, got to go check it out.
Len from Beaver Crossing, Nebraska, making the trip here to Arnold to compete in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge today. Boy, could you ask for a better morning?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
To start this event? My goodness, it's just gorgeous right here.
It's gorgeous. Last year, I remember we had some fog. We had to wait for it to clear and got a little bit later start than what we wanted, but there we go. There's the squeal of the tires. Love it. Here comes car 376, Steve Tasca, 2009 Chevy Corvette.
Well, we know Steve can go fast. I think he posted the top speed yesterday in the half-mile shootout where he reached 161.5 miles an hour. Now, remember, folks, that's in a half mile.
Yes.
That's getting it up there quick. So now we'll see how Steve does at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Steve coming from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And it looks like he had a good average, too, because he had a 161.5, a 161.1, and a 158.6 on his 3 runs on the half mile yesterday. So he'd like to keep that good juju going today.
Getting his lights, and Steve now out on the course as he takes off for his opening leg of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Again, remember, folks, they will go down the road between Arnold and Dunning, and then they will turn around and then come back later. So there's 2 legs to this race, and as Jeremy has been announcing through the broadcast, they try to average their speed best they can on both runs.
Here comes the last car of the 90 Extreme class. I like the old cars. They're my favorite. This is a 1966 Chevy 2. Trenton Zesson and Jared Halverson in this 1966 Chevy 2. Silver in color. It's a very clean, low-sitting car.
Trenton from Malcolm, Nebraska. Now, Jeremy, you've got some speeds written down here from the half-mile shootout. That's from this year, correct?
Yep, correct.
Boy, these guys did extremely well in the half-mile shootout as far as averaging speed. As Trenton and the crew take off here in their opening leg of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Trenton yesterday in the half-mile shootout had 2 of the 3 runs go 132.3, and then the other one hit 132.8 miles an hour. That's pretty good on the average.
The teddy bear comes to the front on the hood of the car of Bruce Younglove as he will kick off the 90-mile-an-hour class. Hey, Bruce, thumbs up. Good luck. Bruce is ready to go out and have some fun in his 2008 Chevy Corvette, and Bruce has been coming to the SORC for a very, very long time. He's got that SORC Lifer sticker on there. It's got a lot of stars around it on his back fender.
Bruce from Blaine, Minnesota, getting ready to make his opening run here at SORC 2021.
Again, here in the 90-mile-an-hour class, they still have are allowed to have factory seat belts. Many of them have a 5-point harness, but you can still use a factory seat belt. You have to have a 2.5-pound fire extinguisher. U-rated tires are okay. You don't have to have a fire suit. A non-synthetic clothing requirement is in place. And you have to have a SA 2010 helmet. Now, where those things kind of change is from the 100-mile-an-hour class and up. You have to start having a roll bar, and then when you get up to the 120 plus types of classes, you have to have at least a roll cage installed in your car.
Well, this mile-per-hour class was really competitive a year ago. The top 3 finishers in this class were all under a second from perfect. Tim Zimmerman and Kyle Cleveland won the 90-mile-an-hour class last year at just .621 seconds below perfect. So we expect another competitive 90-mile-an-hour class this year.
And as we are used to, because the previous class that went out in front of the 90-mile-an-hour class is a slower class, they'll wait a little bit before they send Bruce out on the track to compete. So the cone is out right now. Hindsight 2020, maybe we could have taken a break, but who knows? We're getting back into the flow of things. It takes us through about half of the speed classes before we get back into the flow of things, and then before you know it, everything's over. Good crowd on hand here. The bleachers are probably about halfway full.
Well, again, if you're tuning in to us on KBBN 95.3 FM, we remind you we're giving you a live video stream of today's event as well that you can access on the KCNI KBBN YouTube page and also on Sandhills Express Facebook.
Here goes Bruce.
Bruce Younglove from Blaine, Minnesota, as we mentioned, out on the course as we start the 90-mile-an-hour class. Bruce competed in this class a year ago, was 8.941 seconds above perfect, and he'll look to improve on that here in 2021.
Clint Mckenzie and Troy Monzon up next in a 2007 Dodge Charger. Love the color of that car. You can't miss it.
Clint out on the course from McCook, Nebraska.
Saw Clint. He's got a timer in front of him, and I'm sure that his navigator, Troy, has some navigating equipment as well. He started that right by his steering wheel as they took off. That brings Ralph Johnson and Beth Johnson to the line. Car number 28 is a 2017 Dodge Charger. Great looking orange color.
Ralph, another one of our Kansas drivers. From Waukene, Kansas is Ralph, and we wish them the best as they take off on the opening leg of today's race.
Here's Adam Rogers and Jeff Tholson, 2017 Porsche. This is our first SUV of the day, right? We've had a pickup. Now we've got our first SUV of the day, and it's going to be backed up right away by another SUV, back to back. So that'll be cool.
Adam and Jeff, 2 more drivers from Colorado joining us. They're from Durango. When they competed for the first time, they said, you know what, we didn't even get to the city limits before we decided we're going to do it again. And they are back from Durango, Colorado, as Adam and Jeff are now out on the course.
Car 53 is a 2019 Ford Explorer. Michael Metzger and Daniel Metzger Jr. are in this vehicle, getting ready to go, and they've got the green light. If I remember from the program correctly when I was previewing it, it said this isn't any Ford Explorer like you see off of the lot. It has a quote-unquote few modifications.
And as we mentioned at the top of our broadcast, Dave Burney, Joan Burney, they are at the other end of today's race, and they'll have the coverage of on the radio for you as the drivers make their return trip. But we just got word that the first of the 80-mile-an-hour class has arrived at the other end, so that's good news. Everything running smooth up to this point.
Jerry Abst and Michael Gross out on the track in car 923. That was a 2006 Ford Mustang. John Schmidt comes to the line next. He won the Vintage 85 class with Ryan Furston out last year, and he is going to be without a navigator today as he takes off in his 1990 Chevy Corvette. Black in color, as you saw there, for those of you watching the stream.
John from Lincoln, Nebraska, competing again in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. And John, in his bio, wanted to give out a big thank you to the SORC Board of Directors that found a way to make this race happen last year. Of course, all of us know what was happening a year ago, but they were still able to pull off the Sandhills Open Road Challenge a year ago, and John, one of the many that competed in that last year.
Up next, we go to car number 68, Linda Kruger and Rick Kruger, a 2017 Ford Mustang, red in color at the starting line. I would venture to guess that they're from Kansas.
Yes, they are. Well done. Yeah, they've got the Kansas City Chiefs sticker logo on the side of their car, and there they go, hoping that they can win a championship as Kansas City did a couple of years ago.
There you go. Here's car 662, Tom Kundra. Up next, no navigator with Tom. He's in a 2014 Ford Mustang.
Tom from Omaha, Nebraska. Always been a car guy. Loved the 50s, 60s, and 70s cars, he says. And now here he is competing for the first time, according to his bio, here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, as Tom is listed as one of our rookie drivers for the event this year.
Again, we're in the 90-mile-an-hour class. We're about halfway through, approaching halfway through here in the 90-mile-an-hour class. Your winner last year was Tim Zimmerman and Kyle Cleveland. As Dave Walsey comes to the line with Matt Allen, 1986 Chevy Corvette takes off.
Well, as we go through the event today, we want to really thank again the great sponsors who are bringing you the coverage on the radio and certainly on our video stream. We hope that you pay attention to those names popping up on your screen as you watch the action today.
Here's James Luby and Carl Luby in a 1979 Chevy Camaro. Does a great burnout as he takes off.
James from Beaver Crossing, Nebraska, and another driver that is listed in our book as a rookie competitor here in 2021.
Here's another new Corvette, a 2021 Chevy Corvette, driven by Randy Bauer. Alex Bauer is going to be the navigator today. Beautiful car.
Randy and Alex, both from McCook, Nebraska. 12th year here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Nice slow start for them off the line. Chirp the tires a little bit, but they've got a hold of it as they go up and over the hill right outside of Arnold here. Here's a number we're familiar with, the 308 car representing our area code here in central Nebraska, the Tehans, Matt and Mike in their 2011 Camaro.
Matt and Mike raced in the 80-mile-an-hour class a year ago, move up to the 90 class this year. Of course, the Tehans from Halsey, Nebraska. We've gotten to know them over the years, and it's great to have them here back at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge this year.
Car 283 up next. I know the last name is pronounced Laws. I believe it's Darcy Laws up next in car 283, a 2013 Chevy Corvette, the 15th car here in the 90-mile-an-hour class. That brings the hatchback to the line. Car 164 is David Sanderson. This is a 2017 Ford Fiesta hatch.
David from Glidden, Iowa. David competed in the 80-mile-an-hour class a year ago, and now moving up to the 90 class here this year.
Lets the tires squeak a little bit as he takes off, and that brings Seymour Damer up next with Safe Damer, 2018 Chevy Camaro, all white in color. It's a beautiful looking car, and they represent the 17th car here in the 90-mile-an-hour class, which I would venture to guess is our largest class of the day. Usually 80-mile-an-hour, 90-mile-an-hour class is our largest class today.
Damer's from Parkville, Missouri, making the trip here to Arnold, Nebraska to compete in the SORC activities this year. Just about to get their lights and head out on their opening leg.
Here comes car 302. Chadwick Smith is going to be the next car you folks see at the starting line. Donna Smith is in the navigator seat, a 2013 Ford Mustang. This has the Boss 302 engine, and I like the matching of the number on the side of the car to go with that.
Chad and Donna from Alliance, Nebraska. And there they go.
Love the sound of those engines. Car 363 up next. Mike Rasmussen and Madison Nelson. A 2016 Volvo S60. The next car here in the 90-mile-an-hour class.
Mike Rasmussen from Plattsmouth, Nebraska. And Jeremy, a report from the other end. We can tell you that all of the 80-mile-an-hour and vintage cars are in safely to the other end of our race today.
That is always great to hear. Those are the reports we like to hear. Car 455 is up next. This is Jessica Morton in a 2011 Chevy Grand Sport. Beautiful looking car. It's off and running.
Jessica Morton from Sparks, Nevada. As we read the bios of drivers, we read of how several of them compete in road races in Nevada, in Texas, and now it's a thrill to have a road race right here in the state of Nebraska.
Truck 606, Joe Hackney and Kyle Morey in their 2000 Chevy Silverado. It's got a little something extra going on under the hood as they take off down the track.
Car number 606, Joe Hackney from Kansas. Another one of our rookie drivers. Great to see the first-timers here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, and that again shows you the popularity of this event and how it has seemed to grow each and every year.
Here's car 720. Matt Foss and Brad Rearda in a 2003 GMC Sonoma. It had Blueprint Engine stickers all over the side of it. Blueprint Engine, of course, one of the major sponsors of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. They brought that car to compete in the 90-mile-an-hour class as they take off on the track. And we'll flip the sponsors up on the screen right now of all of the SORC sponsors of the major sponsors, the corporate sponsors they call them. These folks that you are seeing on your stream screen are the major businesses that help the SORC happen each and every year. Thank you very much to all of them. They help us be here broadcasting this for you on radio and video as well. Here's car 888, our second to last car in the 90-mile-an-hour class. Scott Minton and Brock Minton in their Corvette.
Scott from Park, Kansas. Again, several competitors coming to join us from the state of Kansas. And Scott is now out on the course.
Well, look at this, Brent. Car 1, 2, 3 is coming up next. We didn't see car 903 of Michael Sabatka and Alan Sabatka come in to end the 90-mile-an-hour class. So that takes us to our next class, which is 95 miles an hour. This is a beautiful 1965 Cobra. It's got the KBBN logo on the side. That looks pretty darn sweet. It's Chris Thorkildsen and Barry Larson.
Chris from Mission Hill, South Dakota, coming to compete at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. They won the 95-mile-an-hour class a year ago, just .022 seconds above perfect. That's not bad.
I think I saw that was the second tightest time of any of the classes. So congratulations to them on winning this class last year. They'll lead it off this year. Chris Thorkildsen and Barry Larson about to go out on the track in that 1965 Cobra to kick off this 95-mile-an-hour class. As the weather just continues to be absolutely gorgeous. The sun, of course, always comes up right in your face here at this location, but we couldn't ask for more beautiful weather for racing. As the cone is moved to the side, we'll be off and racing here in seconds.
Yeah, we have the opportunity to come here as the sun is rising as we set up, and I don't know if there's a more beautiful sunrise when you look at the cars that start to line up and then the sun coming up. And yeah, you said it, it's a beautiful morning here in Arnold, Nebraska.
There goes Chris and Barry. Love that shot of the speed limit 55 as you just go out of town here in Arnold. That doesn't apply today as Jeffrey Bernard comes to the line in his 2009 Dodge Challenger. Another beautiful orange car.
Jeffrey from Laramie, Wyoming.
Jeffrey starts his timer in his left hand and is off and running as Zach Rustad and Mike McCullough come to the line in their 2007 Audi RS4. Our third car here in the 95-mile-an-hour class is car number 91.
Mike from Lincoln, Nebraska. Note here says competed in the 80-mile-an-hour class in 2020 where they placed third overall. So they move up a couple of mile-per-hour classes to compete here in 2021. For Mike, 20th year participating in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. And we'll be reading that a lot, Jeremy. People who have been coming back year after year after year after year. That talks highly of just the race itself, but also of the hospitality that is shown to these drivers when they come to compete.
Yeah, they've got someone that's in charge of finding hospitality for them as they come into town. So you know there's a lot of them coming in. They got to find places to stay, and that's just one of the many positions that is filled in order to make all of this awesome racing action happen. As car 102 comes up, David Wag and Jack Schmidt up next in a 2013 Ford Mustang as they take off.
David from Watertown, South Dakota.
And we are hearing that car 903, that last car that we were supposed to see in the 90-mile-an-hour class, ended up scratching. So that is why we skipped that car at the end of the 90-mile-an-hour class and have worked into the 95. And we see a lot of people stirring in front of us to get a picture of this 2017 Lamborghini. Darren Brewer and Sean Robinson. Off they go.
Darren Brewer from Gretna, Nebraska. Yeah, there were a lot of people scrambling to get a picture of that car, weren't they?
Yes. Had some fun in the half-mile shootout yesterday. Got up around that 150-mile-an-hour mark. Here's car 94, Zeke Peterson and Ryan Conover in a 2009 Chevy Corvette.
Zeke Peterson from Brule, Nebraska. 13th year at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge events.
Here's car 713. If I remember right, this is a rookie driver, Jeff Krutz, a 2017 Aston Martin.
I'm impressed. How do you remember that?
I don't know. I think it's because Aston Martin really stands out. It's a cool-looking car.
Jeff from Olathe, Kansas. And Jeremy, we can give you another report from the other end. All of the 90 Extreme class has arrived.
Great. So the next thing that we're going to be seeing come in is the 90-mile-an-hour class. Here's 301. This is Jack Martin and Scott Patton. And that is a Corvette, not a Camaro, as it is listed here as their race car.
Jack Martin from Hutchinson, Kansas. Another one of our Kansas friends coming up for today's event.
Ron Helmer and Hannah Helmer up next in a 2015 Chevy Corvette. This is car number 87. It's all white with the black accents. Happens to be my favorite color scheme. Looks great.
Another one of our Missouri drivers, Ron listing Platte City, Missouri as his hometown. I'm going to guess that this is a Bosselman that is coming to the line next.
It is. It's Charlie Bosselman and Bartley Mollahan in a 2016 Ford Mustang, bright yellow in color.
A last name that is very familiar to those of us who live in Nebraska. The Pump and Pantry logo there on the side. Charlie revving it up as they take off on the opening leg of their run here at SORC.
Here's another new Corvette. This is a 2021 Chevy Corvette. Jason Hornady and Todd Vance are the 11th car of 19 here in the 95-mile-an-hour class. Beautiful red new Corvette.
Another Grand Island driver is Jason.
Car 205 at the line. Getting ready to go. And again, in these camera shots, when they make their way down the track, you see all of the sponsor flags out there. Those are all of those sponsors we talked about, the major corporate sponsors of SORC. The drivers get to see them as they head out of town. Ooh, that new Corvette's got a little bit of bite to it. Gives a little slap as it heads out. That brings 314 up. 1964 Chevy Chevelle, Kevin Duffy and Scott LaPointe.
Scott from Minnesota, competing in the event today, inherited this car from his dad as an unrestored driver and decided to convert it to a track-worthy car for autocross, road courses, and for the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Sounds good as it takes off. Easily the oldest car in this 95-mile-an-hour class. Mike Reese and Ken Reese up next, a 2009 Chevy Corvette. A nice ice blue color.
Ken from North Las Vegas, Nevada. Ken, a retired United States Air Force pilot. And now he'll pilot his car in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Here comes our next yellow car, sporting an SRT logo on the side. It's got the 6.1 liter Hemi. Car 399, Clay Hanson and Keith Mckenzie. Makes me think of those commercials from a few years ago where that guy just goes, "It's got a Hemi."
Clay from Kaysville, Utah.
Makes me want a Hemi if it does that. Car 415, Tim Zimmerman and Kyle Cleveland up next. This is a 2014 Dodge Charger, our second Dodge in a row here in the 95-mile-an-hour class.
Tim from Sandy, Utah. Bio says was car shopping and bought the Charger on a whim. And now they enter it into the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Here comes a Porsche Cayman, a 2007. William Mischnick and Casey Richards in our 16th car of the 95-mile-an-hour class.
William from Omaha.
Porsche sounds great as it takes off, and following it up is a black BMW. It's a 2014 Lynn Klieger and Link Klieger in this beautiful looking BMW.
Lynn from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and listed as a rookie driver, so another first-timer coming to the line, getting ready to experience the Sandhills Open Road Challenge for the first time.
Off it goes. And we've got our second to last car here in the 95-mile-an-hour class. Michael Schultz and Garrett Garrett Moore, a 2003 Ford Mustang.
More drivers from right here in the state of Nebraska. Michael coming from Raymond, Nebraska. Says he has a lot of fun racing here in SORC. And here we go again. And there they go again. They're off and running.
That brings to us the last car of the 95-mile-an-hour class. This is a 2012 Chevy Corvette driven by Brock Anderson. His navigator is Chip Blowers.
Brock, a local competitor, coming from Gothenburg, Nebraska.
That will bring us to the 100-mile-an-hour class. Your winner from the 100-mile-an-hour class last year was car 202 of Tracy Klinkenbeard and Mike Bostic at negative .140 seconds. Now, as you approach the 100-mile-an-hour class, you have to have Z-rated tires. You must start wearing a fire suit at this class. You also have to have a roll bar and a 5 to 6 point harness in order to compete in the 100-mile-an-hour class. That's what is in the official SORC book on SORCrace.com. Claire Kurz and Matthew Kurz will start in their maroon Corvette when we get this 100-mile-an-hour class started.
Well, I think we might have time to take a break on the radio side of things, so we'll do that now. We'll step away for just a bit, then come back with more racing here from the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. We'll come back after this 30-second timeout.
The Exchange in Arnold is ready to feed you. With hours of 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. anytime, you can swing in and find something delicious. They serve breakfast daily from 6:30 until 10, and make sure you go in and check out the lunch specials too. They have fresh made Piccadilly Circus pizzas and subs, and their 1/3 pound burgers are hand patted. Of course, snacks are there too, with fresh baked cookies, chocolate chip cookie bars, cinnamon rolls, muffins, and snickerdoodle cookies at the Exchange in Arnold.
And we bring you back to Arnold, Nebraska, getting ready for another mile-per-hour class as we get ready to continue and send more people off here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
There goes Claire Kurz and Matthew Kurz to kick things off in the 100-mile-an-hour class. Brings car number 5, another SORC lifer, a car and driver that we are very, very, very familiar with. Wayne Hora and Megan Evanson in a 1990 Chevy Corvette.
Wayne just up the road a bit in Stapleton, Nebraska. Coming here to Arnold for the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, as Jeremy mentioned, a lifer back for the 21st time of competition here at SORC.
A little bit more time in between these cars as we reach the 100-mile-an-hour class. 20 cars in the 100-mile-an-hour class here today.
How many classes total did you say we had, Jeremy? Today?
11, including
11.
the extremes and the vintage. 8 without them. Here's car number 10. Jeff Preston is coming to the line next. Rochelle Hyde is going to be his navigator. They're in a 2018 Ford Mustang, a gunmetal gray color. And Jeff's shaking around in there, testing the steering wheel. It'd probably be good to know if your car's going to go left and right before you go off on the track.
Jeff, another local competitor. Jeff, longtime resident of right here in Arnold, Nebraska, getting ready to take off and compete here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Jeff has been a navigator here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge for people like Robbie Smith and Leroy Uhrig. Now behind the wheel as he takes off and competes here in 2021.
As we bring car 462 up to the line, let's take a look at the schedule real quick For those of you watching the live stream, you'll see it up on your screen. Of course, we're past the loop-to-loop and the shootout. On Saturday, that is today, the SORC race started at 8:30. Tonight, there's a free will donation barbecue in the Arnold City Park. SORC Awards will happen in the park as well at 7 o'clock. Then at 9 p.m., Victory Underground will perform at Grazer's, that band to end things out for SORC 2021. Car 462 is Jason Rader and Kate Rader in their 2012 Ford Mustang, the next ones to head out on the track.
Jason and Kate from Lincoln, Nebraska, 10th year here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Always look forward to this event each and every summer, and they, like many, sent out a big thanks to the SORC board and all of the volunteers that make this race possible year in and year out.
Here comes our next car. This is car 712. Very similar car, just because it's 1 year in difference from the car that just took off. Sid Stewart and Steve Swisher in their white 2011 Ford Mustang.
Sid from McCook, Nebraska. Another one of our home state drivers competing here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
If the weather was beautiful before, I think it just became even more beautiful. Just like a slight breeze rolled in. If your arm that was sitting in the sun was even slightly warm before, now you're just nice and cooled off. It's a perfect day for racing. Here's car number 44, Tom Kirk and Brian Kirk in a 2004 Porsche, white in color. And you see that roll bar in there. If you're watching on the stream, we're in the 100 mile an hour class, so at this class you are required to have at least a roll bar installed in your car, among some other safety requirements that come into play at the 100 mile an hour class and above.
Tom and Brian Kirk from Lincoln, Nebraska, making the trip here to Arnold from the capital city. Thanking all for allowing them to do this. Only a few lucky car guys get to experience, and Tom says in his bio he's not just talking about being around Joe Schoen.
Speaking of Joe Schoen, I forgot to print off his booklet of his. He gave us a link in the book for his bio this year, because it was, I printed it off. It's at the radio station. I think it ended up being 6 pages long, single spaced, 12-point type. So I don't think we have time to read that all for you folks, but that's just a preview of what you'll hear when Joe Schoen comes up. Car 59, Kevin Hanshoe and Rick Kane, a 2003 Chevy Corvette, our next black Corvette to come up.
Kevin from Wichita, Kansas, 2nd year at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. An honor, he says, to be allowed to be a part of this special event. In addition to the excitement of the race, the people of Arnold is what makes the event so special. And I know that those are comments that are echoed by many, and, well, actually all of the drivers who compete in this event.
Here comes a dark red Chevy Corvette. Mike Hill and Julie Hill are getting ready to go out on the track in their 2015 Chevy Corvette, the 8th car of 20 here in the 100 mile an hour class, our 2nd largest class, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly.
Mike from Allen, Texas, getting ready to take off on his opening leg of today's race.
Again, on some of these cars, if you're watching on our video stream, and not on radio, obviously, but we'll describe it to you, there is a Don Olson sticker that is put on the side of these cars. And Don, of course, very integral in getting the go for leading the SORC. He was the president from 2001 to 2020, and he was in the Board of Supervisors, and kind of when this was in the infant stages, the SORC, he was very integral in getting the permissions to race on this road and really moving things forward well. So those Don Olson stickers paying tribute to that on the side of these cars today.
And we can give you another update from the other end. We're told that all of the 90-mile-an-hour class has arrived at the other end. They're around the Dunning area, so that's good news as, again, things continue to run well and smooth here on this Saturday morning.
Car 690 is up, a 1966 Chevy Corvette. Bob Brownell and Rick Heggie in this gray Corvette. Beautiful car.
Bob Brownell of Laramie, Wyoming, another one of the rookie drivers making their first appearance here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
That brings car number 101 to the line. 10th car of 20, so we're halfway through the 100-mile-an-hour class. Bill Harvey and Andrew Harvey up next in their 2006 Saturn.
Bill from South Lyon, Michigan. Excited to be back in Arnold, says this is his 6th year here. Came in first in 2016 as just a spectator. And I know that this has happened to other people. They come as a spectator and they see the event and they're like, man, I want to compete in this. And Bill is doing that now. Great to have him with us again this year from the state of Michigan.
He'll be off in a couple seconds here. There goes his Saturn. Car 120 up next, Scott Mann, our first driver here in the 100-mile-an-hour class that does not have a navigator with him. A 1991 Chevy Corvette, turquoise in color. I think this very well could be the only turquoise car we see today. It's a very original color.
Michael from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Again, your 2020 winner in the 100-mile-an-hour class was Tracy Klinkenbeard and Mike Bostic. They were 0.140 seconds under a perfect time. Here goes Scott. Car 73 up next. Carl Hanson, second driver in a row to not have a navigator, so Carl going to do it all by himself, the driving and the timing. 2013 Ford Mustang is what Carl will be driving.
Carl from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Participated in this event in 2011, 2012, and 2014 in his 73 Mercury. Brought the Mustang to the event last year and returns with it as Carl Hanson of Colorado Springs, Colorado gets ready to take off here in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Again, a reminder, if you're tuning in to us on KBBN 95.3 FM, we are providing a live video stream of today's event for you as well from here at the start of today's race. And again, you can access it on the KCNI KBBN YouTube page, Sandhills Express Facebook page, and we're on our Twitter accounts as well, at KBBN Sports and at KCNI KBBN Radio.
Car 212, Gregory Erlandson and Kelly Koenig. A 2016 Ford Mustang, white in color, beautiful looking car, white with the gray and black accents.
More of our friends from South Dakota competing in today's event. They're from Rapid City, second year driving at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Greg, a lawyer in Rapid City.
.5 liter engine in that Mustang. Before they started putting 4 cylinders in the Mustangs recently, something that just almost makes me sick to my stomach. There you go. That's what a V8 sounds like as they take off and head up over the hill and onto the SORC track. Car 321 up next, Jim Miller and John Miller, a 2005 Dodge Viper. Is this our first Viper we've seen today?
Sure could be. Kind of seems like
I think
it
is.
doesn't it?
I don't think we've called out a Viper yet.
Jim is from North Platte, Nebraska. 4th time running in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, an avid racer of the Viper Rendezvous that they hold at the Motorsport Park in Hastings. Says owning a local body shop created a love for racing, muscle cars, and camaraderie amongst other sports car enthusiasts. And that helps bring Jim here to the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Well, the previous car that went out, the Mustang, that has 8 cylinders. This one's got 2 more than that. These Vipers have a long hood for a reason. They've got to stuff a V10 in there. And here goes the first one of the day.
I love working this event with a gearhead. I'm serious.
I wouldn't know how to work on it. My gearheadedness runs out. I can change a radiator hose and a battery. That's about it. But I know what's in there.
I was going to say you can talk intelligently about it, though, which is more than I can do. So,
well, here's an all-black car. This is a sharp-looking car, the 357s of T. Coy Morales and Kim Morales, 2018 Chevy Camaro.
From the state of Texas, another rookie driver, according to our book. We've had several here today that are making their first run here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. And as I mentioned earlier, to me that just speaks to, I mean, we're in year 21 of this, but it shows you how the event just keeps growing in popularity. I mean, people continue to hear about it, whether it be from others who have competed in it, or from even family members who are associated with it, and that brings a lot of new drivers to the event each and every year.
A lot of these racers from Texas, and T. Coy was an example there. You'll see a Big Bend Open Road Racing sticker on the side of their car. That's a racing event that takes place in Texas. You know that a lot of these drivers go down there, so word spreads, hey, let's drive north up to Nebraska and have some fun up there too. Up next, we see car 566, David Mathis and Jim Jackson in their blue Chevy Camaro, and I think it should be noted, it's nice and big on the side of Dave's helmet in there. I don't know if we can get a shot of that, but you get into this racing and they have to have their name and their blood type on their helmet when they go out on the racing. I just learned that this year. I'm sure it's been something that's been in effect for a while, but you know, in the event that there is something that needs to be tended to quickly, that's good information to have, and it's right there on the helmet. I found that interesting.
David out on the course now. David coming to us from Phoenix, Arizona.
Here might come the smallest car we've seen so far. Dustin Gronseth and Shonda Gronseth in a 1994 Mazda Miata. They got the windows tinted dark. Can't see them in there. But they're getting ready to go out on the course as our third to last 100-mile-an-hour car.
From Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Have a lot of folks that come to this race from the state of South Dakota.
Again, it's kind of maybe in the back of the minds of a lot of these drivers going out in each class as to what the time to beat from last year was. It was set here in the 100-mile-an-hour class by Tracy Klinkenbeard and Mike Bostic at just under 0.140 seconds off of perfect. Car 949 is Levi Durnall and Michael Durnall in a 2019 Chevy Corvette.
Father-son team that before 2016 had never undertaken an event like this. They were anticipating a great experience and their expectations were greatly exceeded. They come from Meade, Nebraska, and it's great to have them back here in 2021.
That's another crazy thing to think about. Obviously, a lot of these guys like driving and going fast, and me as someone who's never raced something like this, but kind of a gearhead, my expectations would be pretty darn high coming in as to how much fun I'm going to have. But a lot of these guys say that their expectations were exceeded, which I can't even imagine my expectations being exceeded with how high they would be to have fun out on a course like this in the Sandhills.
we can give you another report from the other end, and we can let you know that everybody who competed in the 95-mile-an-hour class has safely made it to the other end of their opening leg of this race.
Up next, we've got our next yellow car. This is a beautiful yellow and black 2016 Chevy Corvette. It's the Axamits, Leah and Dan in the car there, getting ready to head out through the Sandhills.
Dan, born and raised in Denver, Colorado, lists Broomfield, Colorado as his home now, owns 6 car washes in the Denver suburbs, his 18th Sandhills Open Road Challenge, with 2 third-place finishes in the 120-mile-an-hour class division.
And it looks like, if I flip my page correctly, we're going to go to 120 Extreme next.
I mentioned that Dan owns 6 car washes. I just want you to know that that car looked very shiny and clean.
You really kind of set yourself up for a standard of having it. You can't drive a dirty car if you own 6 car washes. Honestly, though, if that was me, I might think about doing it ironically a couple days a year. Just go out and get super muddy and then just park it outside the car wash. But not a Corvette. Looks like we've got a break here, Brent. We've got some space here. They've got a couple of cars stuck back there in the tech area as we head to the 120 Extreme.
Yeah, I'm being told by Gavin Higgins, who is here with us and kind of running the video portion of our streaming here today. He kind of gave me the signal that we're looking at about a 4-minute break maybe before we go into the next group of cars.
Okay. Well, do we want to take advantage of that?
I think this would be a good time for a break.
Okay. Whoa, there went my paper almost.
So we'll take one. We will come back after this 2-minute timeout.
When your car needs fixed, getting it running right is all you should have to worry about. The last thing you need is wondering if the shop you're taking it to is honest and trustworthy. You won't worry about that at all with A1 Auto Repair in Arnold. From small services like oil changes to fixes like electrical testing and repair, they'll get you back on the road. A1 Auto invites you to all the action and fun of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. A1 Auto Repair in Arnold, proud to help sponsor the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Mills Hardware and Feed of Arnold is your hometown hardware and feed store. They've supported the community of Arnold and surrounding area for 23 years. That includes the Sandhills Open Road Challenge in year 21 this year. Get your Milwaukee tools at Mills Hardware, your top dealer in the area. They offer over 72 feet of Milwaukee tools and accessories, open 8 to 6 Monday through Saturday. Mills Hardware in Arnold, your local Milwaukee tool connection. Proud to support the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
The Callaway District Hospital, along with the Arnold and Callaway Medical Clinics, love supporting the community. And they're very excited for the SORC organizers as they get ready for the Open Road Challenge. The Callaway District Hospital and Medical Clinics are excited to announce their new public transportation service. Call 308-212-0464 to schedule a ride today. Areas served and destinations requested will be evaluated on a first-come, first-served basis. Enjoy the excitement of SORC. From the Callaway District Hospital and the Arnold and Callaway Medical Clinics.
It's Sandhills Open Road Challenge time. When you're in Arnold, go to Grazer's Bar and Grill. Wednesday night entertainment from Craig Fern. Tim Mohana will provide entertainment on Friday night. Then on Saturday night, Victory Underground will rock the stage. Jesse, Annie, and the crew at Grazer's are pumped for a fun week during SORC, offering a fresh salad bar, daily lunch and dinner specials, and an amazing array of Donnie's specialty burgers. Grazer's Bar and Grill in Arnold wishes all the drivers safe races. Order online at grazersbarandgrill.com.
And we bring you back to Arnold, Nebraska as we continue coverage of the 2021 Sandhills Open Road Challenge, getting ready to send our next batch of cars out on the course as we speak. Give us an opportunity to say thanks again to our great sponsors who are bringing you our radio broadcast today on KBBN Radio. They include the Exchange in Arnold, A1 Auto Repair, Mills Hardware and Feed, also Callaway District Hospital with the Arnold and Callaway Medical Clinics, Grazer's Bar and Grill in Arnold, BD Broken Bow, Fixed Right Auto Body, First State Insurance, Shotgun Annie's Saloon and Grill in Callaway, Winquist Incorporated, Reed's Food Center, Trotter Service, Trumbull Repair and Towing, State Farm Insurance, Donna Cahill, your local agent, and also brought to you in part by Henry's Callaway Bar, helping bring you our radio coverage of today's event here for the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. And again, we do remind you, if you're just tuning in on the radio and have happened to come across us, we want to let you know that we are providing a live video stream of the start of today's race. You can access that on the KCNI KBBN YouTube page, also on the Sandhills Express Facebook page, and on our Twitter feeds, which are found at KBBN Sports and at KCNI KBBN Radio. Sponsoring our video coverage of today's event, A1 Auto Repair in Arnold, Mills Hardware and Feed, First State Insurance, Callaway Market, Lyons Appliance, Anderson Auto Tech in Broken Bow, Four County Boutique, Trotter Service, and Cobblestone Hotel and Suites.
A.J. Meadows and Kendra Meadows out on the track in their 1999 Chevy Corvette. The first of two cars here in the 120 Extreme class. Now in the 120 Extreme class, they are shooting for a fast time rather than an exact time. And in the Extreme 120 class last year, Robbie Smith and Derek Rose had a time of 30 minutes, 19 seconds, .090. So that is what AJ and Kendra are shooting for. As RT Green comes up to the line in his purple 2019 Dodge Challenger, RT Green and Lindy Daly in that car.
RT, real neat story. RT had been coming to this event for several years, and he not only loved the event, but he loved Arnold so much that he now calls Arnold home.
There he goes out on the track. Here comes the teddy bear. It's been a horse before. Sometimes it's just a towel, but this year someone brought a big stuffed teddy bear, and that indicates the first car of the next class to come up and race. So this will take us into the 120 mile an hour class to follow the Extreme 120 class. This tech speed is 145 miles an hour, and that's the fastest tech speed that you'll see. So basically what that means, if you're new to open road racing, it means that they can go a maximum of 145 miles an hour in order to average that 120 miles an hour to get a perfect time. And last year in the 120 mile an hour class, Aaron Anderson and Kendra Anderson, the car that you're seeing right in front of you now, they were negative .661 seconds away from perfect. That still blows my mind. None of the classes from last year were more than a second off from a perfect time, while going into the hundreds of miles an hour competing on this track. I don't think for a second I could even begin to think about doing that.
Well, there will be a little bit of a gap now, a little bit of a time before they let this next group of cars go off, so we're going to step away for just a second. We'll come back with more of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge in 60 seconds.
Start your new career at Becton Dickinson by attending a convenient walk-in interview at the Broken Bow BD facility on the first or the third Wednesday of each month from 3 to 5 p.m. or apply online at bd.com/careers. BD is an equal opportunity employer that offers competitive pay starting between $18 and $25 an hour. Shift differentials up to $1.25 an hour and full benefits package starting on day one of employment. So make sure to join BD's walk-in interviews on the first and third Wednesday of the month and apply online at bd.com/careers.
If you end up accidentally hitting a deer with your car, your first call should be to the doctor, Dr. Todd at Fixed Right Auto Body. Todd offers free estimates, and you can be sure that when you get your vehicle back from them, it'll be like you never met that deer. If you haven't repaired that hail damage, Todd can do that too. Fixed Right Auto Body, just north of the railroad tracks on 10th Avenue in Broken Bow. Fixed Right Auto Body is a proud supporter of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, and they wish both participants and spectators a great time.
And we bring you back to Arnold, Nebraska, getting ready to send off our next group of cars here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Again, we welcome you aboard. Live radio coverage for you today on KBBN 95.3 FM, also on the web at kbbn.com, and a live video stream of today's action that you can view on the KCNI KBBN YouTube page, also on the Sandhills Express Facebook page, and on our Twitter accounts at KBBN Sports and at KCNI KBBN Radio. Now we'll have video footage of the start of today's race, but our radio coverage will continue all day long. We'll turn things over to Dave Burney, who is at the other end, and he'll have some driver interviews and also some information for you as they send the cars back the other way from Dunning back to Arnold to complete their race today. So we encourage you to stay with us for that as we'll turn things over to Dave for the second half of today's leg. We'll mix in some music and just have some fun as we keep you updated on the race throughout the latter morning into the afternoon. And then, of course, tonight will be a big night at around 7 o'clock. Everybody will convene at the City Park here in Arnold, and that's when the results will be looked at and sorted through, and they'll hand out the awards tonight in Arnold, Nebraska.
Well, we do have to give another shout out here on the radio to all of the crews that are positioned along the road here. Rescue crews, fire crews. Looked over at the map there before we got started with our broadcast. 44 stations along this road. So they've got at least that many walkie-talkies out there. 44 of them. Lots of volunteers come together to make sure that there are eyes on these cars at every point in the road as they race through. That's really a perspective that I've never been able to take in, Brent, seeing the cars at full speed taking some of these turns. And our first responders out there, they get to see that each year as they drive by. And I know that they're cheering them on, hoping that they make all of those turns nice and smooth, because what we want is those first responders to stay right there in their seats watching.
Yep, absolutely.
Car 289 up first in the 120. Aaron Anderson and Kendra Anderson, like I said, they won the class last year.
Aaron and Kendra from the capital city of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Car 911 up next, our next Dodge Viper to compete. Listed here is black. It's kind of a lighter black. It's got the red accents in there as well. Jason Walsh and Chris Rutten were very familiar with the 911 car.
Jason from Kearney, Nebraska. They're back again for this year to race. SORC has blessed them with such great friendships that now get to supplement throughout the year with other events to fill the long stretch between races here in Arnold.
A car that's very familiar with these higher speed classes, not only here in the SORC, but in the loop-to-loop as well. They're ready to go out there and stab the gas again. Well, Brent, we better get our talking done quickly on this one, because when he steps on the gas, it's going to get to where you can't hear us. Daniel Manis and Shane Landis, a 1989 Ford Mustang. Love these Mustangs. In the late 80s and early 90s, they called them Fox bodies. That's why it says, what does the Fox say on the side? And you want to give that attempt as to what the Fox says right over there on it. It's right above its tire, Brent. You're good at sound effects. You see that?
What?
What it says. What does the Fox say?
I'm not even going to attempt it. I'll just make a fool of myself.
Oh, my.
Oh, there you go.
I guess that's what the Fox body says.
Yeah, well, that was real weak, but thanks for giving an effort. Daniel from Barrington, Kansas is where he's from, and I'll be quiet now as you listen to it. That sounded just like you sounded.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd look over at me and say that. I tell you what, this Optima Batteries blow up over here that the cars are driving under in order to get ready for the starting line is really getting a workout. The wind has kicked up a slight amount, and one of the supports on the near side here has got so much flop to it, I don't think it's doing anything. So we got to be prepared to catch that, Brent, if the wind takes it. You think we can hold it up?
I don't know. I'm guessing I won't be much help, but I would try.
Brian Chandler and Shane Cool up next, our fourth car of the 120 class. This is a 2009 Corvette, silver in color, ready to go out there and hit a target speed of 120 without going over 145 miles an hour.
Brian from Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Of course, Shane from right here in Arnold. And Shane I think it's worth mentioning Shane was a huge part of the organization of this event for many, many years. I think even for a time served as kind of the race director of this race, and now Shane able to be in a car and compete in the race. But Shane, like so many from right here in the Arnold area, have given of their time many, many years to see that this event continues to come back to Arnold each and every year.
Well, this next car up at the starting line, they call it a supercar, and that's because it's really fast. Ted Hughes and David James are in the 2020 McLaren, our 5th car of 9 here in the 120-mile-an-hour class.
Ted from Seward, Nebraska, has enjoyed racing in this event, enjoyed the friendships that have been made, and Ted's had some good success in this race too over the years.
It's got a sound unlike any other car we've seen to this point, and that's because it's the only McLaren we've seen to this point. Car 333, Jeremy Gosson, up next in a 2001 Chevy Corvette. Now, Jeremy is the only driver in this 120-mile-an-hour class that does not have a navigator. He's going to be doing it all his own.
Jeremy from Papillion, Nebraska.
Another one of those Corvettes. It sounds like it's nice and quiet here at the start line, but you can just tell that something is being held back. And I'm sure we'll hear it be let go as soon as he steps on the gas. Stands are essentially full here at the start line.
Well, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I wasn't looking at the start line when that happened, and it kind of shocked me a little bit. Holy cow. Yeah, I called that one, didn't I? Holy smokes. All right, well, anyway, what was I saying before? Oh, the stands have filled up. There's a good amount of folks that just witnessed that, and we'll see our last couple of classes here as we work our way through the start of SORC 2021. This is our second to last car in the 120-mile-an-hour class. James Clay and Kevin Adolph up next in the 2015 BMW M4 Coupe that sits in front of us.
We do have a lot of fun doing this, don't we? It's fun.
It's fun. There are a lot of cars that you get used to seeing each year, but there's always going to be new cars, rookie drivers, because it's something we don't talk about a ton, but applying to race at SORC doesn't mean you're going to get in every year. There's an application process, and these racers talk about getting their green card in the mail. They send in their application and their want and desire to race, and the SORC committee goes through all of those and goes through their selection process, and then they send out those green cards in the mail, letting these racers know that they're going to be able to compete. I think those go out the end of the previous year, maybe in October, I think is when those come out. And then they know they're going to be able to make their way to Central Nebraska to race. So obviously all of these cars we're seeing today received those green cards so they could race. Here is the final car of the 120, Doug Jones and Daniel Jones.
Doug and Daniel from Ipswich, South Dakota. Doug farms and runs a small trucking operation in his 6th year here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
That completes the 120-mile-an-hour class. That means we will go to the 115-mile-an-hour class. Now, because it's slower than the previous class, they'll get going right away here. A name we're very familiar with, another SORC lifer, Tommy Dale Vines up next with Marcia Graves in this 2007 Chevy Corvette. And Tommy's car is going to be loud, Brent. And it's going to be taken off here very, very soon.
And before it does take off, let's quickly let you know that we've received a report from the other end, and everybody competing in the 100-mile-an-hour class has made it safely to the other side.
Tommy Dale even has a license plate that says SORC 20 on it.
Tommy, by the way, from Eagle Butte, South Dakota.
Second car of the 115-mile-an-hour class sitting at the starting line right now, Jared Helge and Matthew Helge in their 2009 Chevy Corvette. In fact, of the 6 cars here in the 115-mile-an-hour class, all but 2 are Chevy Corvettes.
Jared from Fort Wayne, Indiana. One of these years, I'm going to go through the book and I'm going to count up how many states are represented. I've never done that.
It's got to be at least 10, if not more. And that's a conservative guess.
Yeah.
Here comes car number 9, Dave Smith and Dustin Olson, a 2017 Chevy Corvette. Sounds like it's got plenty of cam in the engine. It's got red accents and black accents. Looks awesome.
Dave and Dustin, local guys. Dave from Gothenburg, Nebraska. Dustin, his brother-in-law, as they get ready to take off and take on the challenge of this race today. Well, we were kind of watching some clouds that were kind of moving in, but kind of staying off around us at the moment, which is good news as the sun continues to shine. And boy, just again, a beautiful morning for the start of this race.
I know when we first showed up, they were talking about a thunderstorm warning over in Lincoln County, I believe. And that storm has gone the other direction, or it's moving just slow enough that it's not going to be here in time to affect things, so that's great to know. I knew I see Gavin Higgins stand up when this car came up. He wanted to take a picture of his favorite car in the race, Ryan Firstenau and Rich Clements in that bright yellow 2014 Dodge Viper. That's Gavin's favorite car, and you can tell every time at each of the 3 days of racing, he's always got to catch a picture of it.
Ryan here for his 11th year, it says in our biographical book. Ryan from Neely, Nebraska.
Awesome looking car, and he's just a few seconds away from taking off out on this course. Again, here in the 115-mile-an-hour class, your last year winners were Matt Dinsdale and Phil McDonnell. They went over on time, but by just 0.385 seconds. So they had a great time, and that's certainly what everyone here is shooting for. Gary Bates and Chad Carson up next in a 2018 Camaro.
Gary's 56 years old, lives in Blair, Nebraska. Gary competing in today's Sand Hills Open Road Challenge. Went through a professional driving school, and he'll put some of the things he learned there to test today here in this challenge in front of him.
And you hear that about a lot of these guys. They're either ex-fighter jet pilots or were in the Air Force and liked going fast in airplanes. Or a lot of these folks just know, I need to go to driver's school, really hone my skills, and it'll help you be a better race car driver. There they go off on the track, and that brings up our final car of the 115-mile-an-hour class, a name we're very familiar with, Mark Kampener. No navigator for Mark this year. He's got a 2019 Chevy Corvette, but Mark has set records in another vehicle he likes to bring to SORC, that Lamborghini of his.
Yeah, that Lamborghini went 234.1 miles an hour in the 1 mile shootout last year, and that set a new record in that event. Mark coming from Idaho Falls, Idaho, getting ready for his run this morning.
Great to have Mark back. He's got that SORC Lifer sticker there on his back left fender, right above the KBBN, the Thunderbird sticker. And Mark is off and on the track, and that will end up our 115-mile-an-hour class. Now we go back up in class size. The 110 mile an hour class comes up next, and things really going to start moving here now, Brent, as every class from here on out is going to be slower than the previous one. So they'll just keep churning the cars out now. Chad Christensen and Aaron Wells in the 2011 Chevy Corvette of the 110 mile an hour class, a class that they won last year, and they were negative 0.099 seconds off of perfect. So what they did last year certainly worked well. They'll look to do it again.
Also, Jeremy, we can let you know that those who competed in the 120 mile an hour extreme class have safely made it to the other end.
There goes Chad and Aaron, and that brings up Eric and Chris. Eric Schmidt and Chris Garner in a 1989 Chevy Corvette. I like the older cars, Brent, and I like the ones that make a lot of noise. And that's why I really like this car from Eric and Chris up next in the 110 mile an hour class.
Yeah, I think a lot of people love it when the car comes to the start line and makes a little bit of noise, and that's what Eric's doing right now. Eric from Lincoln, Nebraska. Another one of our drivers from the capital city here taking on the course of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Going to be plenty loud. Some of the folks over here in the crowd are plugging their ears. I'd be doing that too if I didn't have this headset on. It almost kind of amplifies the sound, if we're being honest, with this microphone in front of us. Let's take a listen. You know what? That would have been really super loud if we were about 50 feet down the road. He eased up on our ears here at the starting line. That brings up car number one, Joe Schoen and April Tickle in this 2011 Chevy Corvette, our third car of the 110 mile an hour class.
Well, it's impossible to think of this event without thinking of Joe. He was one of the many people that kind of brought this idea of the event to the forefront and then worked hard to make the idea become a reality. And Joe gets ready to take off on the course here this morning. Joe from Stapleton, Nebraska.
And if you want to see his entire bio, they did post that to the Sandhills Open Road Challenge Facebook page. It is an interesting read. There goes Joe. That brings up another loud car, a 1977 Ford Cobra. The colors are listed as red, white, and blue. It's Chris Kuzinski and Kevin Edwards.
For Chris, 12th year running in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. In previous years, always stated that he looked forward to seeing the great people of Arnold. This town has always had a special place in his heart. So much so that he moved here in June of 2019. Now calls Arnold home and getting ready to take off on what I guess you would call his home road racing course.
There you go. The hood scoop says born for the fast lane. Today that's the Sandhills of Nebraska. There goes Chris and Kevin. That brings up another name that we're familiar with here in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. That is Charlie Friend. Charlie in a 2014 Cadillac.
Charlie, another one of our drivers from the state of Nevada, coming to the challenge this year. Charlie retired from the Air Force as a fighter pilot in 1980. Following his retirement, he was extremely fortunate to land a job flying military-type jet fighters for a civilian company under government contract. Retired from full-time work in 1997. After that, only occasionally worked short-term flying jobs, and now comes back to be a part of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Those Cadillacs, they've got a heck of a lot of engine under the hood. Charlie's going to have fun out on the course today. The fifth car to leave in the 110 mile an hour class. And our sixth car will be car 11. That's John Shuda. 2001 Chevy Corvette. It is red in color.
Well, one of the volunteers here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, I think he heard my question about how many states are represented. He told me 23.
Oh, wow, I guessed really, really low.
23 states. That's amazing.
That's great to have that number and know that number. That's amazing.
Well, and, you know, it speaks to, I think, just the popularity of road racing in general. But then, you know, obviously it speaks to what this event itself has become and the way the word has spread and the way that we just continue to get more and more competitors each and every year. I mean, we've read off, what, at least 5 or more people who are here for the first time this year.
Brian Haskett up next. 2003 Ford Mustang. Brian's going to be doing it all alone. In fact, 4 people here in the 110 mile an hour class without a navigator in their car. So Brian coming up, our 7th car in the 110 mile an hour class.
Brian's 11th year racing at SORC. His first appearance came back in 2008. Brian, another one of our Texas drivers who have come up for the event.
His 5-second countdown begins, and Brian is out on the track. That brings up another one of my favorite cars. I love this car because it doesn't look like any of the cars that you normally see that came from 1973. This is a 1973 car. It's a Pantera. Mark Skwarek and James Wallace are next on the starting line, and you can see it on their car there. They're representing Team Pantera Racing.
Mark from the state of Florida, Island, Florida, is what he lists as his hometown, and it's great to have Mark up here in the Sandhills.
Again, you see some of the major sponsors of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. All great businesses that make Sandhills racing available each year for these 3 days. 21st year this year. There goes the Pantera. The license plate on that car simply said SORC. Awesome. Here's Rob Wilson. Car 613, a 2013 Chevy Corvette, white in color.
Robert from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Great looking car.
Robert competed yesterday in the 1 mile shootout, put together some good speeds. First run 173.6, second run 175.4, third run 172.9 for Robert in the 1 mile shootout yesterday.
Countdown begins, and he'll be off on the track here right now. That brings up our next classic car, but this one's been modernized to do some road racing. It's a 1970 Plymouth Cuda. John Huff and Joe Franson in there getting ready to take it down the track. The 10th car in our 110 mile an hour class. Again, they're shooting to get better than the negative .099 second mark set by Chad Christensen and Aaron Wells last year in this class.
John Huff from Casper, Wyoming. And as they get ready to take off on the road here this morning, we can let you know that everybody competing in the 120 mile an hour class has made it safely to the other end.
Man, once the racing starts, it just flies by, doesn't it, Brent? We're already more than halfway through our second to last class.
Wow.
It just gets cruising. That might be our best burnout of the day, coming from the Plymouth Cuda of John Huff. Kevin Kapner up next with Ellen Kapner, 2019 Chevy Corvette, car 515, pretty dark blue color, another one of our SORC lifers.
Kevin has also raced for years in the Nevada Open Road Race. Also here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Kevin from the state of Idaho.
I hear they have good potatoes in Idaho.
Yeah, hear that too. According to the bag that I buy, I've had a few of them.
Yeah, they say they're from Idaho. Well, I would guess most of them are.
Huh?
Here comes car 625 to the line next as Kevin and Ellen take off. Ryan Rusher and Brad Wheelhouse. Ryan has one of the best racing names in the book today. Ryan Rusher and Brad Wheelhouse in their 2002 Chevy Corvette.
Ryan from Yankton, South Dakota. He and Brad getting ready to take off on their opening leg of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge as the clouds have kind of moved up into this direction now and covered the sun a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully
There's some raindrops.
I was just going to say, I'm hoping that doesn't bring much in the way of precipitation.
Let's just hope it's a couple of sprinkles and not much more. There's literally one cloud. It's a large cloud, but it doesn't... Okay, now that was about to be the most ridiculous statement I've ever made, but I'm going to follow through with it anyway because I started it. I just was going to say it doesn't look like it's holding much rain, but obviously I can't tell by looking at a cloud. I'm just being optimistic. Here comes car 981, the last car of the 110-mile-an-hour class, AJ Ramft and Ian Lee in a 2016 Porsche.
AJ from Garden Ridge, Texas, a long-time SORC participant. AJ flew fighters in the Air Force and now resides in Garden Ridge, Texas. Enjoys coming up for the SORC experience.
I do have to say, Brent, I always like to say each year how early on we can hear Nick Ekberg's car coming to the line. We're 7 cars away. You see it on your screen there, folks. He's sitting back in the staging area getting his tires checked out. He's 7 cars back from the starting line, and that is when we started to begin to hear Nick Ekberg. So, one of the loudest cars, the loudest car for sure. There goes AJ and Ian, our last car in the 110-mile-an-hour class. That means we've reached our last class of the day here at the starting line in Arnold. Mike Black and Janet Black will kick off the 105-mile-an-hour class. And guess what? They won it last year, and they had the best time of any class. 0.012 seconds off of perfect.
Impressive.
They were nearly in single digits. They were nearly into the thousandths from being perfect. 2015 Chevy Corvette is what they'll drive.
This is their 13th year competing in the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Come to us from Garland, Texas, members of the Lone Star Corvette Club. Mike is a retired electrical engineer. Janet, a retired elementary school teacher. Great to have them back here at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. We wish them the best of luck as they take off on their opening leg of today's race.
And there they go, up and over the hill. Car 707, Ken Hodges and Les Peterson, a 2007 Chevy Corvette, beautiful red Z06, coming up to the starting line next.
Ken from Julesburg, Colorado. And who did you mention as their navigator?
Les Peterson.
Is it Les? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Les listed to us from Ovid, Colorado. Their 15th year of participating. Both farmers from the Julesburg, Colorado area. They have a love for fast Corvettes. And they're going to demonstrate that love for us right now.
There they go. That brings up car number 25, Leroy Uhrig and Alex Varney. Leroy shaking that steering wheel left and right, checking out the steering one more time as he comes to the starting line and gets ready to be our third car in the 105-mile-an-hour class in his white 2008 Ford Mustang.
Leroy from Pierre, South Dakota. Great time is had by all when this time of year comes around, he says. He, like many, giving a shout out to the people in these fine communities for opening their doors and allowing everyone to come and play in their sandbox, as he calls it, as he gets ready for the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
From 100 miles an hour class and up, I mentioned some of the things that these drivers have to start having on their cars. In all classes, they have to have a fire extinguisher. Now, at 100 and up, they have to have Z-rated tires. They have to wear a fire suit. They have to have an SA 2010 helmet up to the 110 mile an hour class. Then they have to have a more significant helmet. A roll bar all the way up through the 120 plus class, or a roll cage in the 120. And then from 100 miles an hour and up, they have to have a 5 to 6 point harness. From 110 miles an hour and up, they have to have a neck restraint. Here's car 186, Brent Culp and Heidi Culp in a 96 Chevy Camaro.
Yeah, Brent and Heidi of Arnold, Nebraska. They live just down the road a little bit. They don't have far to travel to the start line. Maybe a couple of blocks is all. And Brent and Heidi getting ready now for the challenge of the Sandhills Open Road Race. They get their signal, they get their lights, and here they go.
It would be hard for me to live just down the road from the starting line of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge and not go out and drive this road at these speeds. I know it's obviously illegal, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be difficult to hold off on doing it. But there weren't any black lines at the starting line before we showed up today, so I'm not putting Brent on the spot. He hasn't been out practicing.
No.
Denny Powell and Connie Powell up next in car number 48, our fifth car of 11 here in the 105 mile an hour class, a 2019 Corvette.
Denny's from Wichita, Kansas, 12th year running in the SORC, has run in the loop-to-loop race 7 times, have met a lot of great people, made many new friends over the years. Well, we've got a hold-up with Denny in his car right now. They're going to bring out the orange cone, and usually when they do this, Jeremy, that can at times mean that something has happened on the road in front, and so we'll kind of listen to the information that is made available to us, and we'll try to update people as we can. But a stoppage in the race now as we get ready to send Denny Powell of Wichita, Kansas off on the race. But again, the race has been delayed, and certainly we are in a position where we never want to speculate, so we'll pass information as we can, but they have stopped the race for the moment.
At the very least, it means that a car has left the roadway, and that happens at these races every now and then, but a lot of the time if they're leaving the roadway, a lot of the time they're able to slow down in the ditch and move forward from there. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on things. This might be a situation where Joan Burney on the other end will monitor the radio and kind of let us know more information. So if Dave Burney is listening, we might be able to bring him up here on the radio and see if he is able to give a report. Obviously, the only person that knows whether or not Dave is listening to us is Dave and or Jeff in the studio, and he should be connected into our other line in our studio and might be able to give us a report from the other side of the race.
Well, we are kind of getting somewhat of a report from the other side. Again, Dave and Joan Burney are there, and we received a text message that what they're hearing is oil on the track is the announcement that they have heard at this time. So we will kind of look into that further as information becomes available. For now, though, with a stoppage in the race, we will take a timeout. We'll come back with more of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge in 2 minutes.
Callaway Bar is an oasis in the middle of Nebraska. He invites the SORC drivers and fans to visit this Friday and Saturday. They'll be opening at noon each day and will be open until 1 a.m. Try Henry's one-of-a-kind fresh handcrafted cocktails. They have the best margaritas in central Nebraska. Pick up the special of the month, a pineapple margarita. Located next to the Callaway Community Center, proud to support the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Henry's Bar. Follow them on Facebook at Henry's Callaway, Nebraska.
The independent agents at First State Insurance of Arnold can offer you choices that save you money. Becky or Pat would love for you to call 848-2522 to set up an appointment with First State Insurance for a free quote and review. They are proud to support the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. They hope you enjoy the action again this year, the 12th through the 14th. Check out the race and event schedule at sorcrace.com. First State Insurance of Arnold, proud SORC supporters.
Trumbull Repair is now Trumbull Repair and Towing Service. Dan is excited to offer 24/7 towing and transport. Trumbull Repair offers mechanical service, welding, and mobile welding. If you need these services, call Dan at 308-870-2127. When you're stranded and need emergency roadside assistance, call Trumbull Repair and Towing Service, a half-mile east of Callaway on Highway 40. Trumbull Repair and Towing Service, happy to help bring you coverage of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge races.
Need to cool off this summer? Look no further than Shotgun Annie's in Callaway. They open at 11 Tuesday through Sunday, just closed on Mondays. Shotgun Annie's invites you to take advantage of their party room with larger groups. And don't forget to try your luck at Keno. Their signature taco night is Thursday, featuring delicious tacos and, of course, cold drinks. Shotgun Annie's in Callaway hopes to see you soon.
1027, this is KBBN Broken Bow. Live coverage here of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Dave has an update for us on stoppage. Go ahead, David.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're hearing some chatter here of an oil spill off of a car, a release of oil at about Station 39. But they're having a conversation about where it's at on the road and how heavy it is. And again, the SORC officials always are taking safety first. So there's a report of oil on the track near Station 39. So they have a waving yellow there. Car number 40, between 39 and 40, and not car 40. There has been a report of an oil release from an automobile, oil on the right-hand lane on the right side edge. So they're going to address that and take care of that, be very, very safe, and get back to racing as soon as they can. Back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Dave, and we'll send it back to Brent and Jeremy and Arnold.
All right, Jeff, Dave, thank you very much. We do bring you back to the start line here in Arnold, Nebraska. Now, they have just taken the orange cone off to the side of the road. And, again, you heard the report from Dave. Oil on the road between stations 39 and 40 of our race today. And as you can hear in the background, some of the cars that had shut down during that delay are now revved back up. And, well, it looks like they're going to give car 48, Jeremy, Denny Powell of Wichita, Kansas, the green light. He'll watch for the lights, and it appears as though we're going to get back to racing.
You know, all of the cars could be on, but we can't really tell. We can tell that one of them's on, Nick Ekberg's car there. Doesn't really allow us to hear any of the other cars when he's coming forward. Oh, there went Denny Powell. That wasn't the sound of him leaving. That was the sound of Nick Ekberg just simply coming to the starting line. So it'll be 10 times as loud as that when he leaves. Nick Ekberg and Lyle Ekberg. Now they both drive this car. Above the driver door it says Lyle or Nick Ekberg. So it'll be one of the two of them in there. Nick Ekberg driving today. Lyle is his navigator. It's a 1965 Chevy Corvette.
They've been here every year. They come to us from Wakefield, Nebraska.
Would imagine they've got to use a lot of hand signals when they're navigating this car. There's no way you're talking to each other while you're driving down the road, is there?
Well, they get their lights, and now we'll get to enjoy the sound of their start along with all of you.
Off they go, up and over the hill. And those of you watching the video stream now see that car 107 has made its way to the starting line. Terry Pollard and Gary Halstead, a 2016 Chevy Corvette.
Terry from Wichita, Kansas. Of course, Gary just down the road as well, lives here in Arnold, Nebraska. Think that Gary and his lovely wife, Mary Jo, serve as a host family for some of the racers, including Terry, and I think that's how they've gotten to meet one another, and how Gary has found himself in the navigator seat here today for Terry Pollard, who again comes to us from Wichita, Kansas.
It's awesome to see these connections that the folks in Arnold make when they become a host family. You know, you always hear it's a small world. You never know, you could be in Wichita, Kansas, or in Texas, or California, or Michigan visiting, and you might just run to the grocery store on vacation and run into someone who's raced at the Sandhills Open Road Challenge and knows someone personally from Arnold. It's awesome. Car 202, Tracy Klinkenbeard and Kim Klinkenbeard up next in their 2002 Chevy Corvette. Tracy Klinkenbeard was the winner of the 100-mile-an-hour class last year, with Mike Bostic being the navigator, but they move up 5 miles an hour to the 105-mile-an-hour class. They're definitely going to be a driver and navigator to reckon with, as they know how to win a class.
Since we have just a moment, and as we wait for them to take the course, got to give a shout out to our great volunteers right on top of things, noticing some oil on the course, stopped things to make sure that they could see to it that the road was safe to travel on. And quickly we are back to racing after a very short delay. So again, a great shout out to the volunteers who help make this event happen and help make sure that it stays safe.
Always better to stop the race and make sure that everything is okay rather than make the decision that something might not be a big deal. It could be a very, very big deal, and it's good to just check, and that's great to know. Our third to last car of SORC 2021 is at the starting line. Brian Meslanka and CJ Swanson, a 1999 Chevy Corvette, dark red in color.
Brian from Lincoln, Nebraska, after hearing how much fun the Sandhills Open Road Race was from a friend that had participated, he's like, you know what, I got to get involved. So here he is. Brian Meslanka from Lincoln, Nebraska, getting ready for his opening leg of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
Off goes Brian with CJ in the navigator seat. That brings up Lanny Lowman. Car 466, 2012 Chevy Corvette with some chop in that engine.
Lanny, 75 years young, his bio says, lives in Henderson, Nevada, born in Biloxi, Mississippi. Great to have Lanny with us again this year for the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, again coming from Henderson, Nevada.
It's got a sticker on the side of it that says Insane Power.
Well, we told you a moment ago how a cloud had kind of moved over the sun. We maybe even felt a couple of sprinkles. Well, those clouds have dissipated, and the sun is back out in full force here at the start line of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge.
There goes Lanny out on the course. And here it is, Brent, the final car of SORC 2021. In its 21st year, SORC is about to come to a close. 3 days of racing action are about to come to a close with Michael Rasmussen and Sidney Nelson in their 1995 BMW.
Michael from Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Of course, this is just the opening leg again of the race, as they will race back from Dunning back to Arnold, and we will continue to have coverage of that for you on KBBN Radio, 95.3 FM and KBBN.com. Dave Burney, our colleague, will anchor that coverage for you on KBBN FM through the conclusion of the race, and then we'll be, of course, ending our video stream, which we hope that you've enjoyed. Some great sponsors helping us put that together.
And there goes the BMW of Michael Rasmussen and Sidney Nelson. And that's it. 2021 SORC, as far as the very first starting line, has wrapped up. Now what they'll do is they'll drive north. They'll hit the finish line there and cruise into town where our own Dave Burney and Joan Burney are located. They'll turn around and they'll do the exact same thing coming back this direction. Again, their goal is to cross the finish line at the perfect time going both directions to have a total speed that hits as close to perfect as possible for their speed class. And boy, Brent, aside from that oil on the road, couldn't be happier with how smooth things went from the starting line this morning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, couldn't have asked for better weather, number one.
Yeah.
And
we asked Mother Nature yesterday.
You did, yeah. You
gave her a compliment
I
yesterday.
did compliment her. You said some nice words.
Yes,
and apparently she listened.
I really kissed her feet. So I'm glad. I'm glad that she came out in full force.
So we're taking credit for it.
Yes,
because when you work in radio and you give a bad weather forecast, you get blamed for that.
You know what?
So
I think that gives us
credit
right.
when it's nice, right? All right. Hey, by the way, we can tell you that all of the 115 mile an hour and 110 mile an hour classes made it safely to the other end, so that is great news. I'll tell you what, we're going to take just a short break. We're going to take a 30-second timeout. We'll come back. We're going to thank our sponsors, and then we'll close it up for our portion of the broadcast here from the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. We'll come back to wrap it up for our end after this 30-second break.
Racers know that performance cars take a lot of TLC. To run efficiently, they need clean oil maintained by a quality filter. That's why so many drivers trust Napa Gold filters. You may not drive a Corvette at speeds averaging 120 miles an hour, but your family truckster needs the same care to get your kids to school. Lucky for you, WinQuest is having their fall filter sale September 1st through the 11th. Whether you drive a Viper or a Volkswagen, we got you covered. Here's to a safe and successful SORC from WinQuest Incorporated, Broken Bow.
All right, we are back to wrap it up here from the start line of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. Brent Apperson with Jeremy Shipe, and we just want to quickly thank our radio broadcast sponsors here on KBBN Radio. Before we go, they include the Exchange in Arnold, A1 Auto Repair, Mills Hardware and Feed, also Callaway District Hospital with the Arnold and Callaway Medical Clinics, Grazer's Bar and Grill, BD in Broken Bow, Fix Right Auto Body, First State Insurance, Shotgun Annie's Saloon and Grill in Callaway, Wenquist Incorporated, Reed's Food Center, Trotter Service, Trumbull Repair and Towing, State Farm Insurance Agent, Donna Cahill, and Henry's Callaway Bar. Thanks to them for helping us with our radio coverage. And also big thanks to these people who helped with our live video stream today. They included A1 Auto Repair in Arnold, Mills Hardware and Feed, First State Insurance, Callaway Market, Lines Appliance, Anderson Auto Tech in Broken Bow, Fort County Boutique, Trotter Service, and Cobblestone Hotel and Suites. And a big thank you also to Gavin Higgins, to Emily Barnett. Emily was running one of our cameras for the video stream today. Gavin was basically serving as our video producer, and we really appreciate them. Jeremy, great job as always in calling the race, and a lot of fun to work with you again.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great to see the racers go out and safely hit the road here from the starting line. We only had one stoppage, and it was for less than 5 minutes. Couldn't ask for a better start, and we hope that everything is just as smooth coming back. We'll end our video stream here shortly, but for continuing coverage of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge, some interviews, some good racing music, some really good rock and roll music to get you down the course or make the listening experience that much better here on KBBN. Stay tuned, because Dave Burney is going to have some more stuff coming from the other end at the halfway point of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge. And again, a few of the other things that are coming up later on today. That free will donation barbecue going on in the Arnold City Park. They'll have awards in the park starting at 7 o'clock. And then to end everything out on a Saturday night, Victory Underground will perform at Grazer's Bar and Grill right there in Arnold.
All right, so for Jeremy Shipe, for Gavin Higgins, for Emily Barnett, that will conclude our portion of the Sandhills Open Road Challenge broadcast. We encourage you to stay with us as Dave Burney will take you through the rest of the race as they make their return trip from Dunning to Arnold here today. For now, though, we'll send it back to the KBBN studio.